All right, so the doors are open. Welcome to Inside Sports. Some sporting codes have been in the field of play for months already now. UFC has been strong in the States with bouts also held in the Gulf. But all of this under strict COVID-19 protocols. And this afternoon, we're looking ahead to mixed martial arts returning to action in South Africa. What have been the challenges that sport has faced? President of Mixed Martial Arts Cairo Howarth joins me via Zoom. I also have Boyd Allen and Demarte Pena also via Zoom and Skype. A very good afternoon, gents. It's so great to see you. I mean, I knew that you're never going to be late for the show because that's exactly what happens when the weigh-ins take place. But before I get into the weigh-ins, I mean, EFC is back. The last time that we obviously heard of EFC was in 2020, President Cairo Howarth, and of course it was at EFC 84 that we're expecting the rest of the events and the fight cards to take place, but coronavirus came to play its very dangerous game against the world of sports and we had to readjust. I mean, it must feel great to be back in action, Cairo.
Arthur, firstly, thanks for having us on the show, and 100% we are super excited to be back in action again. It's been a year of, call it layoff, so to speak, and yeah, we can't be more excited to get back to putting on great events again.
Fantastic. Demarte, I mean, 7 events for the 2021 fight card, or the fight calendar, I beg your pardon. You are 9-time featherweight champion. I mean, I can't imagine how life was, especially in the midst of coronavirus. You must be happy that you're back in the ring to do what you love best.
You know, I think absolutely all of us athletes, that's our livelihood, and then obviously we run gyms as well, and we fight. So most of our guys haven't been active, haven't been getting paid. So it's been quite difficult in the last year or so. So it's quite exciting that we have EFC as a platform, so we can showcase our skill, obviously get paid, and then be able to survive actually.
Fantastic. Boyd, you've come through the system of EFC. You understand the culture. You understand the organization. And in particular, you are also someone who is well seasoned in the featherweights division. Did you ever imagine that something like the coronavirus global pandemic could force stop the sport? Did you get that, Boyd?
No, I don't think any of us could see something like that coming along and affecting us like it has.
Yeah, go on, Boyd, no problem, go on.
Okay, it's lagging a little bit, but yeah, I think we were all taken by surprise with the coronavirus. And I think we were all just super excited to get back into action, get back into the swing of things and put on a show for the fans.
Fantastic. It's all about the fans, Cairo, and I'd like to imagine that the bio bubble safety measures would definitely be put into place, especially because that's been the biggest thing lately in sports. Would you be approaching it the same way rugby, cricket and football has?
Yeah, all of that's got to be in place. Obviously, the pandemic is not over yet, so we've got to work around the COVID precautions and protocols. So we've got a full system in place that we're going to be following to keep it as safe as possible for all of the athletes that are competing. From a fan perspective, it's unlikely that we're going to be having fans in the arenas anytime soon. So we're producing it live for television effectively. So it's going to be a produced for television product that's going to go out, but yeah, all of the COVID protocols that all the other sports are following will be the same type of setup that we're going to have there with all of the athletes for EFC for going forward, at least in the foreseeable future.
Fantastic. Well said there, Cairo. Demarte, you obviously fight out of Fight Fit Militia. For your brothers and sisters that are obviously preparing themselves for the return of action, do you think there's a lot that's happened in terms of, tweaking your training regime, going into camp and now thinking that May is just around the corner? Is there a lot of pressure on the rest of you guys?
Well, yeah, I think, most of us actually moved to our own gyms now, not just FFM, like Boyd is in Apex and myself, I'm in Kalami at the moment. I think the hardest thing was actually training with guys, obviously, that you don't know where they go, and then, so the precautions are in place for us. I'm actually tested every second week for COVID, obviously, for the clients that I take, and then obviously I want to make sure that I'm in good health for my training partners as well. So I think in that sense, we've all been quite good with it, and I've seen in the other gyms as well where they taking all the precautions set up by the government and more. So I think the guys are naturally taking all the right steps in order to be safe and also make sure everyone else is safe. So I think we're quite proud of the mixed martial arts space. We've done everything possible, and then all of us are actually safe. And then ultimately, for you to be safe in this times, you need to train, you need to be active, and then that's what we've been doing.
Boyd, mental strength is something that's also important here, especially because it's a part of an athlete's preparation. Do you feel that most of the fighters are mentally strong and prepared to get running again?
Yeah, I think fighters are extremely mentally strong. I think that's why they take to fighting like they do, and I think they're going to show it when they get in there. They're going to put on a show for the crowd, and UFC is going to come back with a bang.
Cairo, I mean, I'm thinking about the iconic venues that EFC have visited over the years, whether that being KZN, Gauteng, or Cape Town. Can you tell us a little bit about where the venues might be for the 7 events that you've planned for this year? Because I'd love to believe that at least one of my best venues is the Big Top Arena at the Carnival City. So I'd love to see some action again there.
At the moment and for the foreseeable future with COVID, it's not viable to be hosting it in big arenas. You know, those big arenas that we traditionally host EFC events in require a lot more people, actually. So we're going to be hosting it in a TV studio environment in Johannesburg. And as I said earlier, it'll be limited fan attendance. Hopefully we'll be allowed to have some fans in attendance. But it's not going to be the typical big arenas that you've seen before. It's going to be an exciting new venue, which is built for television venue, effectively. So that will be announced pretty soon where that's going to be hosted. But no, you're not going to see it, at least in the short term, in the previous arenas that we used to hold it in. But we're assuming in the future, as COVID dies down and we're able to travel around again, then for sure we'll see EFC back at all those arenas and some international venues that you have seen previously.
Fantastic. I'm crossing fingers for that one, Cairo. Hopefully the near future will have some changes. Demarte, the difference this time is that the venues won't have any fans. Does that affect the type of performance that the athlete puts out in the ring?
I think ultimately it probably would affect you just before the fight, because then there's not that pressure with your family watching and screaming. But once you get in there and you get a few shots in, I mean, you forget about who's watching and you're just there to fight. So I think Boyd would agree that. I think just before, I think sometimes you get more nervous leading up to a fight because your family is there. But this time, I think it will be a little bit different. But once you're in there and you realize you're in the fight, I mean, you forget about everything else and you're just there to perform. So I think ultimately the fight will still be amazing. EFC's shown such great potential. We've produced quite a lot of athletes now going to the UFC, making sure they're representing the African space. And then definitely we're going to have more athletes competing overseas. So really grateful for UFC for coming through and then coming back so fast, actually.
Boyd, you've got nerves of steel, and I don't think anything can scare you. I mean, you know, the fans not being in the venue is also something that's very massive, because in sports like football, you know, when you have the fans, it's almost like you have the 12th man on the field. But, you know, judging from your experience, just how much important is it to have the fans in the venue?
To be honest, I love having the fans. The support is amazing. Hearing the crowd scream for you and support you like they do is unbelievable. And to compete without them isn't the same. But the show must go on, and we've got to do what we've got to do to get the fights in and stay active.
Fantastic. There you have it. Boyd Allen, Demarte Pena, and of course Cairo Howarth, who is the president of EFC Worldwide, as we've broken the ice here on the chat in mixed martial arts. Can you believe it? It's back. EFC is back. And it starts, of course, on the 8th of May with 7 events. Definitely for the viewers and the supporters of this combat sports. You're watching eNCA and Inside Sports. We continue with the show shortly.